Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I just wanted to talk about just a little bit about me and my upbringing and everything else in life. I'm not going to get too graphic, as I told you guys before, about the sceneries of everything I had to encounter and other little lectures that I had with you guys. But this one is just an overall lecture of my growth from where I was at when I was a youth to my growth as an adult woman. So this is basically the little reflection of me. So I wanted to let you guys know, and let's begin this video. So just know, looking back is the view that looks forward is even better to picture and be able to be seen as a clearer viewpoint. So, so as you guys know, I am born intersex. I was born an intersex female, and I have a biological birth defect. I have a sexual disorder, a sexual development disorder, of a sex chromosome count of genetic difference. And because of that, that gave me a birth defect as a youth and as a baby, as a child in the womb, because remember, we're all birthed in the womb. And we get creation based on the genetics that pass on from mother, father, and everything else, and ancestor. Like, because, there's always that defect that also happens because if it's in your ancestry line where they had the similar birth defect, then it passes down like that. Because remember, it's a recessive gene because that's about ancestry and not everything else is such. Because it's genetics. And as a sex therapist, I talk about genetics a lot and I speak on as a sexual education for everything of humanity viewpoint for sexuology viewpoint. I'm not a sexologist, but I'm like the viewpoint of freedom expression of sexuality of a spokesperson that speaks about sexual therapy as a therapist. So, yeah. So, this is me when I was young. Of course, I don't have other photos of me younger than this, but of course, the description of me still fits the same scenario. I was an eighth grader around this time. This is when I wasn't on hormonal medications either, you guys. I didn't get on hormonal medications until I was 16, but keep in mind I was only on it for a month, so the effects are not as permissible as they would be if I've been on it for 6 years, like as I've been on it today. So yeah, but I was going through puberty. I do tell you I have a male genitalia because I have a birth defect, and it's a sexual development disorder. So yeah, but this is me. This is my story of what I looked like as a child, and that how people raised me and my family. Overview of all these years of me. This is how I used to look as an eighth grader, and how as I looked all the way from sixth grade, first grade, seventh grade, and everything up. This is me. This is how I used to look. I still look the same, of course. It was just me acting more of a tomboy sense of fashion, trying to like blend in with everybody else's culture viewpoints. But reality, I still stand out. Like a hammerhead shark, I still stand out. So, yeah, but this is me. This was me in my tomboy stage of life. So yeah. Um, I was 13 around this time. I was an eighth grader. So this is when I took this photo. I was working. I did self-employment virtues, and I learned how to work with like a person who did business and their viewpoint. And so, yeah, they helped me grow myself as a sense of adulthood even further because I kept taking the necessary steps to achieve my self-desire worth for myself overall in life, due because of all the difficult times I had and all the difficult times I'm trying to prepare myself to grow from. So, yeah, but this was me when I was young as an eighth grader. Yes, this is my tomboy fashion. Of course, part of me living my tomboy fashion and me having my male sex organ, of what to call it, of course. I already told you my backstory about me being abused and everything else, but this is just a backstory of me. From me having short hair to me having long hair, where it all clear vision pints the point of view. So yeah, but this is me. So yeah. So I used to just work, of course, in the eighth grade. Especially if you're born intersex, you don't know if you're intersex. I mean, clearly you would know if you're intersex because it genetically, it matters on genetics. Genetics speaks volume, and biology speaks more volume in sex therapy land. We see what we see genetically, and we see what we see biology, because the biology is the bigger point of view of what we could see, because all of it, that's like when you're intersex man, you're intersex woman, you're a trans man. Those are not intersex variations, but if there was like more insightful news that they wanted to discover, and then that's where they can learn about their hormonal difference. Like my testosterone was at 1,000 around this time, you guys. My testosterone now is still at like 1,000 viewpoint, but it's not actually there no more. But I still look generic. That's how I did when I was younger, still too. So, I still have all my natural biology and everything else of all my sexual anatomy and everything else that's physics and biology speaks of. But I was born with a birth defect because I inherited a genetic defect of a sexual development disorder. So, yeah, but this is me when I was 13 in 8th grade. This is me when I decided, to become more of my feminine ways because, of course, me exiting myself out of the masculine viewpoint I was in, and I wanted to get more in touch with my feminine side. So, this was my masculine side. Of course, I still look the same, but this was me expressing my more femininality of tone. Not just shaving my hair short and then wearing sweatpants and cargo pants, because reality, when you're growing up, it's up to you who you want to stand out as. That's how I talk about transgender issues. I talk about reality issues for intersex because I am a fellow intersex woman. So I speak on the generic sexual development disorders as an advocate and spokesperson for these types of misguided information that people didn't know about society. So yeah, but this was me. I wasn't on hormones at this time either. So I was 16. This is a photo of me at 16. I am psychic, you guys, also. So yeah, that's why you see my stare also as such, because I am clairvoyant, meaning I walk myself. Nobody is as strong as me. I'm a clairvoyant person, meaning I see the visions. I see the psychic intuition. I see everything I could see before everybody else meant that I could see what I could see. So there's nothing that I missed or anything I did not see because I seen everything as I needed to see. So there's nothing in life that I didn't miss because there's everything that I'm already doing now in life. I've already seen it from when I was a little one to where I am now of everything. So in this time of my life, I was, battled because I've told you about my sexual abuse, because this is how I was raised growing up as a boy feature of my life. But as you could see with the reality of evidence that brings told, that wasn't the subject of hand. So this is me as a tomboy with short hair. But imagine if I just grew my hair long. This is what I would look like with long hair. This is what I would look like with long hair. I wasn't on hormonal medications either. I wasn't taking any estradiol. I wasn't taking a spironolactone of testosterone blocker or anything. This is me naturally from my body being at its natural components and everything else. That's why you see I am flat chested because, be part of being a female, there's different hormonal counts. Like I only had testosterone in my body, but I did have estrogen too, but it wasn't as dominant, and it's still not as dominant either because my testosterone is still dominant as a structured viewpoint of all my medicational needs. So I take the testosterone blocker, but I still look the same. I've been taking estrogen for about 6 years now, and I still look the same. So this is just I didn't get on my medication when I was an 8th grader. I wasn't on it. I had to get on it as an escort when I was an escort when I was younger, and I had to get on my medication around that time. So this is another photo of me about a younger age of my life. As you can see, I was just trying to make myself look upkept, making myself come more, because being a female versus being a tomboy, there's the protocols that you live by. As a tomboy, you want to stay fresh out for all the haters can hate, because then they're gonna hate, because different men are gonna hate, how you have the new how you have the new shoes, how you have this, how you have the new gadgets, how you have this, because that's what man stress over, that materialistic gain type stuff. But as a woman and everything else in my tomboy and in my feminine ways, I've been doing that. So I've been gaining my own ever since I was little. So but this is just a viewpoint as an 8th grader, and then this is the viewpoint as a a 16-year-old, because I did, it was a younger age in life. I'm not promoting any of those types of demographics. I'm just giving you guys my story so you guys can pinpoint my vision plan moving forward in my life. This was my start, and this was me going to my finish. So this is when I was an 8th grader, and this is when I was a junior in high school. Me discovering myself and becoming my true self, and all the steps that I had to do, from all the sexual abuse I've encountered as a young one, and that lasted for a very long time, you guys. I was 4 years old when it happened, and it didn't stop until I was like 17, almost 18. So as you can see, the evidence that's subject to be truth, this was all it was ever going to look like for me to see. But I've been a biological woman, even with short hair and my male genitalia disorder. I'm still who I am and who I was supposed to be. So, yeah, but that's just, on that topic, you guys, and this is me with short hair, and this is me with my long hair when I went around into my demographic of having to heal myself. I had to make sure I had to, the hard rock life, and had to build myself up because people didn't want to support my growth, because this was their dream for me, as they thought, as just me as a tomboy. But as you can see, all that changed was longer hair. There was nothing else that changed. It's just the hair growth that changed, and then that's where people thought I changed dramatically. But no, I never changed. It was just me being more in touch with my true nature of myself, and that's all that changed. So this is me at 16. Like I tell you, this is just me giving you guys the education of knowledge of where I had to go from as an 8th grader, and from my sexual abuse, moving all the way in the past of my childhood, to where I am as an 8th grader in this photo, and to where I am in this photo as a 16-year-old that was having to make sure she had to take care of herself, because as you can see, nobody else was taking care of those situations for her. So she had to take care of everything for herself, and being the masculine one in her life, while understanding that she was still a young one. So of course people were trying to say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know anything you're talking about, because this is you. This is you. This is what you look like. This is you. But this is reality of what I look like. It's just a different hair viewpoint, and different clothing viewpoint. I like to cross dress, meaning like cross dress. You know how like you like wearing the feminine clothings, you like to wear the masculine clothing, because I'm a pretty bitch, so I like to do it both, So yeah, so yeah. So yeah, but this is like more of my masculine side, and this was more of my feminine attachment. Of course, that was a Marilyn Monroe shirt, because I love Marilyn Monroe. I love her so much. And this was her and her like tattoos, and the tank top that she had also. Her like tattoos on her, and yeah, and everything as such. But this was just my overview of my testimony from where I was at 8th grade to my transitioning to where I am now as a 16-year-old. But I'm 24 years old, so this story is not done yet. I'm just speaking on those scenarios, so that way you guys can know what was going on at my time of birth and where it was going to lead me to as such. But so of course, with me going through my tomboy ways, these are some of like the comments and just general testimonies of me going through my years of growth. As I told you guys, I was living as a tomboy viewpoint, but of a hardcore description. And it happened, I started working about 2010. That's when I started working. Around there, it was in 2010, and I started selling candy as a candy crew. Those little side gig jobs that some like people make, and they just help build the community to help the kids stay away from certain outreaches like gangs and drugs and alcohol. So yeah, I took part in one of those types of outreaching programs, and yeah, and it changed my life moving forward. So yeah, but this was me in December 11th, 2010. In 2010, I was a 7th grader. In 2011, I was an 8th grader, because in 2012, I was a freshman. So yeah, so this is basically what me in 7th grade. The reason why I say that your friends are not your friends and your friends are fake is because people wanted to know if my sexuality as a young one, if I was straight or if I was gay or if I was just bisexual or whatever, curiosity. Because remember, this display I'm showing people is that I'm a tomboy features, but I was fighting men all the time, you guys. So that's why I said that your friends are fake. They say you're your friends, but they're not. So I had a friend of an acquaintance viewpoint. She was an acquaintance of mine. And because, I used to always kept consistently always fighting men, like birth genetic men. Every day, nonstop, repetitively throughout my seventh grade year. So it's like, oh, welcome to middle school. And I fought as many middle school men as I could possibly get to. Then I ended it and fought an eighth grader in seventh grade. I was a seventh grade and then I fought an eighth grader. But because I kept fighting as much as I was, of course, you men know about the masculine viewpoints of the manhood when you're as a female fighting as much as you're doing, there's always some other man that wants to feel like, oh, if you feel like you're so strong, fight me and stuff like that. And because I was always going through my masculine ways as such, of course, that big undergoalment of ending came to mind. After I was like, all right, I'm a seventh grade, I'm about to go to eighth grade, this year is over with. So yeah, and I got in a fight. I didn't want to take the photo of me. Like, I had the photo when I was an eighth grader, a seventh grader, but I didn't want to post it only because it was just me because, obviously, I didn't self defend myself. It didn't really hurt because, I ate those hits more than anything. Yeah, I'm a biological female. Yeah, I have my deep tomboy ways too, but look, I ate those hits. But I sat there. Yeah, they said I was getting my ass beat, but I ate those hits. I didn't fall on the floor and cry like no sissy. I didn't do none of that. I didn't cry, go home and be like, oh, let me put ice on my face and I'm crying. And it was a man fighting me, and I was just not defending myself because, you know how it is when we're younger, man. You guys know that there's like the crowd you used to hang out with when you're younger as your posse, your boys, and yeah, and because I was the one that's always constantly fighting everybody, I decided when I went to that state, when I went to the little state where we're gonna go fight, it wasn't a state. It was like the little stage, like the park. And we went to the park, and then yeah, but I didn't have friends that was there for me, so yeah, that's why. I'm like they were just trying to watch a show, so I gave them a show to see, but it wasn't like they seen the show with me in middle school, but then they seen the end of the show in seventh grade, a viewpoint, and I got in a fight, but I didn't swing back only because I thought I was gonna get jumped. And I just, like as a tomboy phase, every man understands this. Like, yeah, like, oh, you got your butt whooped, right? Like, yeah, okay, right? Especially if you're not accepting of that viewpoint. Because to me, if I got my butt whooped, because I'm a fist fighter, you guys. I know how to fight. I learned to watch boxing and everything else. As a little one, as a tomboy would, martial arts, kickboxing, boxing, and everything as such. So yeah, and then I was a street boxer too. So, as a female, as a tomboy. So the man hype, like, oh, let's see how good those hands go. Yeah, you talk, and then you guys know my voice, and y'all know how I talk a lot of shit too. So, it's like, oh, well, yeah, right, so it was a lot of dramatic of me. It's okay. It was a drama scene. It was okay. I was the right one for it. But that's why I say your friends is fake, because they were trying to say if I was straight or if I was gay, and because of viewpoints, because they were liking me, but I was not. I was into men, not women. I played that role of trying to act like a man as the strongest viewpoint, so I can now, as a sex therapist, as I am olderly viewpoint, I could speak about the male issues a little bit clearer of viewpoint, and of the female issues, biology viewpoints. So there's like, yeah, since I lived and I walked in those shoes, so yeah, but yeah, you guys know MVP Perkins, you guys, most valuable player Perkins. All right, that's my last name. I'm the most valuable player Perkins. You know, Lonnie for TT Perkins, most valuable player, Perkins. You know, because this was my tomboy phase. So yeah, but yeah, you know, this is just some of the typing. You guys know when we're seventh graders, the typings we make when we want to like virtue with friends and we want to have our own little like way of typing. And I went through my little phase, of course. You know, you have to. That's just part of being a female. You know, you go through your little phase of ways, you know, with how you type and everything else. You know, so that's just that clearly a viewpoint.